All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Williams. We're going to talk tonight about Facebook. I did have my co-host, Bill Phillips, on the other computer here, but he's having connectivity issues tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the show and let him call in. Oh, there he is. Yeah, you there?
All right, let's go.
All right. You're looking at the man here, Mark Zuckerberg, rather, not Jeff.
Jeff Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. Jeff Zuckerberg. Who the hell is Jeff Zuckerberg?
Get your shit right, son. Go on.
Mark Zuckerberg, okay, the founder of Facebook. You know, sometimes I want to strangle this guy, and sometimes I want to reach my hand out and shake his hand. And that's kind of what tonight's show is about. What I want to talk about tonight are the 5 things that I absolutely can't stand about Facebook, and the 5 things that I love about Facebook. So, without further ado, let me get to number 1 in the hate category. The one thing I can't stand about Facebook is I have a page set up for Jim Williams, and it's basically the URL is facebook.com/Hurricane City Tracking. Now, the reason I did that is because I kind of wanted to make one page that has everything to do with Hurricane City and Jim Williams, because occasionally I'll have opinions about things other than weather. So I want people to know, what my political beliefs are, what my religious beliefs are, the kind of music I like to listen to, the hobbies and the interests that I have, and also be able to get the latest hurricane information as I post it on Twitter, because when I post on Twitter, it automatically goes to my Facebook page. Here's the thing I hate, is I have a Hurricane City Facebook page as well. But the problem with it is I never post over there. I hate it. I don't use Hurricane City Facebook.com/Hurricane City. I hate it. I don't use it because every time I have to post in Jim Williams, I have to go over there and ditto it over at the Hurricane City page on Facebook. So if it was up to me, I would just get rid of Hurricane City at Facebook, because I don't like, I like people to kind of have a personal feeling of what I'm about. And if you go to the Facebook Hurricane City page, it's about a brand. And so I don't want the Hurricane City page. In fact, I have very few likes over there. I think only like 165 people or something like Hurricane City. And the reason is because I don't use it. It's a dead page. I don't post over there. I don't use it. I can't stand it. The only reason I have it is so that somebody else doesn't swoop it up and take it and make it their own. So I kind of keep it live under my name, but I don't use Hurricane City on Facebook. So that's my number 1 pet peeve, is I wish Facebook just made you have one page. Like, everybody gets one page. Whether it's your name or your business or whatever it is, you only get one page because it's too complicated. And to have more than one page, you got to go back and forth and choose to share it with your other pages versus not sharing it. And some of the stuff at Hurricane City I don't want people knowing about, like my political beliefs and my religious beliefs. So I don't put those over on the Hurricane City Facebook page. They're only on the Jim Williams page. So it's this struggle back and forth. Which one do I use? Do I dump this one? Do I dump that one? I can't stand it. Just give us one page at Facebook. Everybody gets one page, and that's all you get, and do away with it. All right, Bill, now it's your turn. What's your number 1 hate with Facebook?
The ease at which, Jim, you know this because you've known me for years. I go to speak in front of high school students and young people more than a few times a year. The explosion of bullying and other hateful things that can happen to a poor individual or to someone, Facebook's made that easier. If you dislike somebody, you can post if you're friends with them, if they're friends of yours, or even or there's even a public setting, you can hurt people too easily. You know, there are kids that don't want to go to school because of what people write on their Facebook pages. True. And all of this. It has made it so easy for someone to make someone else's life, frankly, a living hell, and I don't like it.
Agreed. But there are options on Facebook to block people.
Yes, there are.
From posting on your page that may not like you. And you can also report people. Apparently there's a abuse report button on Facebook where you can report abuse and they can block people from posting, saying stuff about you and things like that. So they have addressed it. I don't think they've gone far enough with it, though. I think that certain people should just strictly be banned from Facebook, period. They shouldn't even be allowed to use it.
I mean, I know, I will not use a name, but I know a friend of mine who was virtually stalked on Facebook. I mean, this guy harassed her continuously for I don't even know how long it went on, but it got to the point she took her Facebook page down for a period of time. She's back up there, but it's just, you shouldn't have to take your page down because of an idiot.
Well, couldn't she just block the person from posting on her page?
She told me she tried that, and he would just go to her friends' pages and post all kinds of stuff over there.
Gotcha.
It was to say it was a cluster, was a problem. And she just said enough. Right. I mean, she's a strong individual. She's back up there. I'm proud of her for eventually getting the strength to say, I'm not letting this one person prevent me from doing something that I like to do, which is social media, and she's back up there, like nothing happened. But she's a stronger person because of it. I think somebody tries this again, she knows what to do.
Right.
But, you shouldn't have to deal with that. I mean, but, Facebook, Twitter, social media has made it easier for the coward to be a coward, or for an idiot to be an idiot. So, and it's up to everybody to learn the rules and how to combat idiots, because we have to do it in every aspect of life.
That also comes back to a post that was on Kane Talk today. Somebody was responding to the show tonight, and they were saying that they don't even use Facebook because they like their privacy. They don't want anybody invading their privacy. And I kind of said, well, the cat's already out of the bag on that, because basically just turning on your phone allows you to be exposed to anybody that wants to find out about you, and also just being on the internet, message boards, chat rooms, filling out forms to purchase things, using credit cards online, you're exposed. So this whole notion that Facebook is the end all, like if you don't sign up for Facebook, you're safe, I think is kind of naive. Because look, they're going to find, if somebody wants to find, that's one of the things I like about Facebook, is you can at least put yourself out there and say, this is what I believe in. Now, a lot of people are kind of, they don't like that. They like their privacy. Then don't get on Facebook. It would be my opinion. Just stay off of it. But that still doesn't mean that your privacy is your privacy, because they still know about you out there. But what I do like about Facebook is the ability to connect, especially with Twitter. Like, I can tweet something about something going on in the Atlantic Basin, for example, say there's an invest or something, and I can tweet about that, and it shows up. I can connect it with Facebook, and it shows up automatically in Facebook. Not on the Hurricane City page, but on the Jim Williams page, because then I'd have to do it twice to get it on the Hurricane City page, which is why I want to get rid of the Hurricane City page. But nevertheless, I like the ability to be able to share information, connect with people, find people from your past, find people you want to find, and learn about what they like and they don't like. That's what I do like about Facebook. What do you like about Facebook?
I like the ease of which you can disseminate information during weather events, during severe weather. Jim, you've seen my Facebook page when we have severe weather and all of that. I'll put radar images up, the warnings from the National Weather Service, and my friends see that, and I get compliments all the time. Thank you for doing that, because they know they can go to their Facebook, their news feed, and the warnings are going to be there.
Yeah,
if the weather starts to get bad, they know they're going to see it. They know I'm going to put it there.
That's a good point, because I do everything on Twitter, and it automatically goes to Facebook, but when it comes to local watches and advisories and things like that, I'm not really thinking about people in local areas, because I'm more of a national tracker. I'm following everybody in the Atlantic Basin. I'm not focused on one area. In fact, even if there's severe thunderstorms in my area, I don't post that. But I know in your case, you have family up in Indiana, and you post severe warnings, tornado warnings, things like that, and they may be on Facebook at that very moment and find out something that they didn't even know. So that's the beauty of, that's one of the good things about Facebook, especially when it comes to weather.
You know, they know, my family, my friends, they've known me all my life, especially the Indiana folks. They know when I start talking, they all tell me, they go, we like when you start talking severe weather. They go, but we also know when you start talking, that's not good. She goes, because they know the warnings they know the watches and warnings will soon follow. Thank you, Facebook, for doing this, making posts deletable and and easier to edit from your phone. Because if I had this happen the other day, the Weather Service put out a tornado warning for some reason. It may have been the Weather Channel app malfunctioning. I don't know. But literally, as soon as they put it out, they canceled it or downgraded it. So I had to delete that, repost the appropriate information, because especially when it comes to tornado warnings, I'm not going to, if I know the information's been changed or wrong, it's not staying up there.
Right. Yeah, unlike Twitter, once you post it, it's permanent and you can't get rid of it.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a good thing about Facebook. By the way, this graphic I have up on the screen showing Facebook as the #1 social platform. 900 million users, monthly visitors, by the way. 900 million monthly visitors on Facebook. Number 2.
Keep in mind, there are 7 billion people on the planet. So we're approaching 1 billion people, and there are 7 billion on the entire Earth.
Yeah, and I would assume most of those are in the U.S. I'm going to show some more graphics in just a minute. But we have Twitter #2, LinkedIn #3, Pinterest #4, Google Plus #5, Tumblr #6, Instagram #7. I only use Twitter and Facebook. I don't participate in any of those other platforms because 2 is enough for me. I'm so sick of all these new platforms popping up and trying to keep, you're chasing your tail constantly. But the reason for the show tonight is because Facebook is the #1 social platform in the entire world. So it warrants a show tonight, or at least to some point during the year when things are slow, to talk about this, because there's a lot of people that have things they like and don't like about Facebook, but being the #1 platform, most people do use it. But here's my number 2 beef with Facebook. And I have a graphic up on the screen here, and the arrow is pointing towards group settings. This is something that drives me nuts. I got people that sign me up to groups, hurricane trackers, hurricane fanatics, hurricane this, hurricane that, all these groups out there that they're adding me to their list, and I didn't even ask to be added to these lists. I don't care about these lists. I just do my own thing. I post my own stuff. I read everybody else's stuff, but I'm not interested in these groups. These people that sign you up and force you to digest all their garbage. I don't care.
Yeah, you're right. If I want to sign up for something, I'll do it myself. Don't force feed it.
Yeah, and the other thing, I kind of missed this on the administration, my #1 complaint, and that is, why is there no dislike button on Facebook? For crying out loud, every time somebody dies, do we have to really come on there and go, I like that. I like that that person died. Can you have a dislike button or an unlike button? Or I don't know, give us a disappointed button or something. Does it always have to be you like everything, even though it's somebody died?
What am I supposed to be happy about your death? I mean, that's moronic.
And then here's another thing about the group settings that really drive me nuts. Is people that will friend you. I get people that friend me that I could care less about. I mean, I get these friend requests all day long. There's some hot chick in a bathing suit or something, or some fashion model, and I go and I look at the page and there's like nothing weather related on there whatsoever. Like, I'm thinking, okay, how did this person find me, and why do they want to be my friend? What's the hitch here? Is it a prostitute, a prostitution ring? Are they just out there trying to hook people into their inner circle? What's the reasoning for that? So that's another beef I have with Facebook. Like, thankfully you can reject people or just ignore them, but why do I have to be bombarded with all these people that, for whatever reason, why would they want to be my friend? And this goes into a whole other subject, Bill. I'm sure you have friends like this too that'll say, oh, I have 1,000 friends on Facebook. And I look at them and I go, really? You have 1,000 friends? How many of those people do you really know? How many of those people do you really know?
Next to maybe less than 1% of them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people that I'm friends with, I've either met them in person, or I've emailed them, or I've talked to them in a chat room or a message board, or I've heard of them. Like, I've seen them on television. I've heard about them in storm chasing circles and things like that, or I've had some sort of correspondence with them over the years. There's probably about 20% of the people that I know that I'm friends with out there that I don't know who the hell they are. Like,
oh God! See,
most of them I know, but I bet most people, if you went up to them and you said, okay, you have 1,000 friends, how many of those people do you really know who they are? I bet they would say probably maybe 30% of the people that they're friends with, they really know who they are.
I have one or two people like that on Facebook now, and that I don't like some of the stuff I've seen, but I'm trying to be tolerant because of my political science background, and it's over a hot button political issue that's going on recently, and they're posting all kinds of offensive, what I would deem offensive stuff, and I'm almost to the point where I want to block them, but half of me says no. You need to see this and not be exposed to it, but you need to see what the other side thinks.
Right.
But some of it, but it's gotten to a point where, do I want to look at this every day on my news feed at the same time? There is that argument too. Do I want to be subjected to this every single time I get on Facebook? Does that sound like I'm whining? What do you think about that?
There's a guy out there by the name of, oh gosh, I was going to write his name down before the show started and I forgot.
Keep talking. Maybe I've heard
Jason
of him.
Scott. Is it Jason Scott?
Yes, you gave me that name. Go on.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's a meteorologist or a pretend meteorologist. I really don't know. But he's got this group he set up, and he's always sending out stuff like, the GFS is showing a 2-week model, and he's over there on Facebook showing, oh, this is what could happen in 2 weeks, and jumping the gun. Like, I want to be the first to announce that the GFS is showing a disturbed area in the Caribbean in 2 weeks from now. And he's sending out these news flashes all over the place on Facebook. Like, I can't stand that. I had to actually stop the guy's emails from coming in because it was getting so obnoxious. And I hate that. Like,
does he not realize the accuracy of these models are 2 weeks out? To say they're shit is an understatement.
They're horrid. Anybody that talks about, and this happened last year, I remember a few guys were talking about the Gulf of Mexico, a hurricane coming into Louisiana. And it never materialized because the models backed off at about 10 days out. They started, oh, it's not going to happen. Then it became an area of disturbed weather. Then it got wiped off the map completely. You cannot go out 2 weeks and say on Facebook, this is what could happen in 2 weeks from now, based on a few model runs. You got to see about 3 or 4 days of consistency before you can start blabbing about that kind of stuff. That's the problem.
Now, I will talk about a page I follow a lot, and I'm going to have you go to my Facebook page in a little bit, and I want you to read one of their posts about what's going on in the West Pacific. It's freaking hilarious. I think you'll get a kick out of it. I don't know if you've been to my Facebook today, Jim, but it was great. iCyclone, he'll do that. He'll post models 7, 10, 14 days out, but he'll make it clear that this is not a forecast. I'm not endorsing it. He'll say that this is what one of the reliable models is doing, but he'll make it clear that this is not a forecast. I'm not endorsing it. That I don't have a problem with it, because he doesn't come out and say, oh, this is going to happen. It's all in how you phrase it when you post something. You can show something 2 weeks out if you want, but it's not gospel. Do not make it. There's no way that can be any reliable statistical numbers should be given to that. Hell, we can't get it right 6 days out, let alone 14.
Yeah, it's. I won't touch a 14-day model, man. I will not go on Facebook or Twitter and say, in 2 weeks from now, the GFS says Florida's going to get hit by a hurricane. I'm just not doing it. You're not going to catch me making projections that far out. And these people that are doing it, shame on them. I like iCyclone guys.
They're great.
It's Josh Morgan and
yes.
What's the other guy?
God, I'm sorry. We love them. We're not.
Jim Edge does that too. He talks about long range projections for the Western Pacific, and I don't really pay too much attention to the Western Pacific, but as far as the Atlantic Basin is concerned, you're never going to see me call a 2 week forecast on anything. It's stupid. It's unreliable. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to talk about it. It's just like you said.
No.
Like you said, it's how you phrase it. It's how you pass that information along and say with the words, this is very unreliable, but the model is saying this could happen. Instead of saying, all residents in the Gulf need to be watching 2 weeks from now. There's a difference.
If I see a category, if I see a system, if I see a model that I trust, show me something 4 or 5 days out, I'm going to give that a little credence, not 14.
I start to pay attention when it's about 7 to 8 days out and it's consistent. That's when I'm starting to go, okay, there might be some validity to this, but there's a big difference between 8 days and 12 days and 14 days.
I mean, frankly, the models really don't get a good handle on a system until it's an invest, and even further until it's a classified system and we have a defined surface of circulation that the models can grab onto. Up until then, it's a crapshoot.
All right, so are you up to number 2 thing you hate about it? Have you already finished number 2?
I have. I don't think I've given my number 2 yet. I think you ran off.
Yeah, I talked about the group editions and people friending you and stuff like that, and how many friends you really have and all that. So what's your number 2 hate thing about Facebook?
The fact that, and this is good for people like us, but it can be a double-edged sword. Facebook allows, it has, Facebook and social media in general has diminished to a large degree the what you would call a standard website on the internet. People would rather go to these social media sites, I think, versus going to Hurricane City, for example. I think at some level it's hurt our product, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the main reason for that is that most people are using their phones to use Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. They're not using websites on a screen where they can read everything and see everything clearly. It's all just short fonts, short word sentences, a quickie model, map of a model or something. They can look at it on their phone. The examination and the attention to detail in websites has been hurt by social networking, so I completely agree with you on that.
Can I go to number 3 quickly, because it's related to 2? Or no, are you ready?
Because we're going back and forth between like and dislike.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and save it for the next one. All right,
go on.
My number 2 on the like category is the overall ability to talk about all things. Now, what I mean by that is, like I said earlier, I don't like the Hurricane City page because I don't feel like I can express myself properly over there, and I want to keep it all business. So I'm forced to have the Jim Williams Hurricane City tracking page, which I can talk about the things that I like and the stuff that I like that have nothing to do with hurricanes. For example, I'm not a fan of organized religion.
Neither am I.
I'm liberal. Everybody that knows me knows pretty much I'm liberal. I mean, on most causes, with the exception of unions. I'm not a big fan of unions, but pretty much I'm liberal across the board. But they can find out, what my likes and dislikes are. And the people that go on and put, this was my number 5 complaint, so I'm not going to touch on that at the moment. But that's basically my like. My second like is being able to go to other people's pages and find out what they like and dislike, what their political beliefs are, what their religious beliefs are. There are people that don't express that stuff, and that's okay. But at least you can find out something about what they think, just based on sometimes by the friends that they have and the correspondence they have. You can find out a lot about a person just in that regard. So that's the good thing about Facebook.
Another thing I like is, and I don't like tooting my own horn, but I'm going to in this one instance. I had a former, and she didn't tell me this after the session with the students was over. I didn't find this out until I read Facebook that evening. And for those that have Facebook, that post of hers is on the About page at Hurricane City. I'm going to summarize it quickly. Some of the students I spoke with earlier this year, the subject matter was overcoming obstacles and bullying and things like that. But this particular student had autism, and I guess she had been the teacher had been unable to reach this student, and really couldn't get this person to do too much. And she said that this person has been totally different since I came and spoke to the kids. And what she said, what struck me was this kid was afraid to ask for a pencil, which you get that with autism. That just struck me. And I would not have known that I had that kind of impact until I read that particular post.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, so
Facebook is great for that. You find out the good. You find out the good, mostly the good of people and what they're about and what they do.
Right, and people can pass it around. Like I passed that story around about you giving that speech to that classroom, and more people hear about it, they find out about it, and it opens up opportunities too for people to be asked to do more speeches on stuff like what you're doing. You might get more invitations based on your exposure through Facebook. So it's a great avenue for that.
I've had 4 or 5 other. It's at the same high school, obviously mine, but my former teacher has said She goes, I have 6 or 7 teachers that are begging me to ask you to come in here.
Now, the only thing you need to do, though, Bill, is get a video recording of that and post it on Facebook, so everybody can hear your speech. That might be something.
I would love to do that. However, the reason I don't is for this reason. Some of the special needs kids, if they know there's a camera, they shy away from it. So we don't do that.
Well, somebody could be recording it without them really knowing. Like, they could be at the back of the classroom, kind of using an iPhone without anybody even knowing they're filming.
Right. I'm sure that could be done.
I mean, I'm not expecting, cinema, True Line Cinemas, a camera that's the size of a classroom, standing there aiming at the class. You know what I'm talking about. Like, just.
No, I know what you mean. But it's. I don't normally like tooting my own horn like that, but that particular post, there's not many things that make me stand back and almost cry, but that did. I've done that with her for, I think this year, with the exception of last year, I skipped last year, like 9 times. Never have we had a response with that like we had this year. It was great.
Yeah, that was. I'm proud of you, man. That was a good speech, and Facebook definitely helps get the word out about what you're doing. That's an outstanding point. I got Bobby's email up on the screen, and she had some comments about Facebook. She mentions pick your friends, can't pick your family. Lots of laughs. One of the things I hate and the most about Facebook, she's absolutely right, man. I mean, my family, oh my God, don't even get me on my family on Facebook, but my dad doesn't post at all. He's like 80-something years old. He doesn't care about the internet. Neither does my mother-in-law.
That's a generational thing. I'll take your dad out of it.
Yeah. My brother, brother from a different mother, he never says anything on Facebook, dude. Like, come on. He's a bartender down in the. He's worked at several different high-end restaurants down in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. But I mean, he hardly ever posts anything on Facebook. I mean, come on, dude. You got to have some kind of a life, Post something. Same with my sister. She lives in Ocala. She posts a few things about her scrapbooking hobby that she has, and she goes on does these little shows and stuff all over the country. But in occasionally there'll be a family portrait or something, but not a whole lot about her feelings on politics, the big news stories, stuff like that. And then you got my nieces and nephews, hardly ever post, and they're all young. They're like 18, 19, 20 years old. They don't post anything on Facebook. No updates. Occasionally a family picture or something. I just maybe a lot of young people are turning away from Facebook. I just don't see a lot of young people posting stuff. My wife, she's somewhat active on Facebook, especially recently. She wasn't really into it like a year ago or so, but she's posted a lot of stuff, about animal stuff mainly, and whatever mood, these little posters that she posts on Facebook and things like that. But my family, for the most part, is like, if you want to find out about family, good luck with that. From my perspective, I mean, so maybe some other people have families that are active on Facebook, but for me, it's been kind of there's not a whole lot there. And I don't really like personally talking about my personal life. You're never going to see me complaining about, household problems and physical problems and, marital problems and things. I just don't bring it up on Facebook. Very rarely you're going to see me vent about something, personal. I don't know. I'm just kind of weird about that. But Bobby also mentions that she can chooses who to follow on Twitter, and when I unfollow someone, there isn't a group family emails. Apparently she gets bombarded with group family emails, posts on Facebook and things like that. So I guess she's having the opposite problem, unable to get away from the family and a lot of stuff. She hates the stupid cat memes. Look, my sister in Chicago, Wendy, she's 9 times out of 10, if she's posting on Facebook, it's a cat video or a cat picture or a cat joke or a cat. I mean, can you tell us something other than the cat stuff? I mean, it's nice and it's amusing and everything, but there's got to be something else to talk about other than cat stuff.
I've had one person complain about all the weather stuff that I post, but if you take the time to look at some of the stuff that I post, there's political stuff, there's sports stuff, recently, and there was another shark attack today, right off the coast of the Outer Banks. There's all kinds of stuff that I follow. Don't accuse me of just being one track.
No, you're well-rounded. I read your Facebook page all the time. You are well-rounded. You talk sports, you talk weather, you talk the leading news stories, you talk about local issues in your community. I've seen you talk about stuff where your family lives in Indiana with severe weather events. You talk hurricanes. You're about the most well-rounded person I've ever seen on Facebook. I mean,
but I also have the time. I also have the time to do that right now, and because I'm either in school or I'm at home because I'm not working because I'm in school. But I have the time to put into that, and I care about what I put up there. I just don't put up shit. Pardon my language.
Well, I'm a little bit guilty of that in the sense that when I post on Twitter, my Twitter is attached to my Jim Williams page. So
yes, you're a Twitter whore.
No, but you know what I did? I disabled the retweets. If I was retweeting somebody's stuff, it would not show up on Facebook. For a while there, everything was showing up on Facebook. Now the only time Twitter shows up on Facebook is if I'm posting a Twitter myself. And it's usually about something about Hurricane City or a show coming up or a statistic or something to share that I think is important the audience needs to know about. And it'll go to my Facebook page, but I've eliminated the retweets, so it's cutting back on a lot of the hurricane-related stuff. But when it matters, you're going to get if you don't follow me, if you don't have a Twitter account, you don't follow Twitter, all my tweets will show up on Facebook, which I like it that way.
The only thing I wish we could stop is every time you go to Periscope, it sends a different, like a new notification that could probably get a little cumbersome, which concerns me when we're chasing, but oh well.
You know what? I'm not worried about it because it's only going to be about once an hour we use Periscope. So they can just know that we're live and, they click the link and they can still get to Hurricane City through the link on Facebook. So it's a good thing. I'm not really worried about that. One more thing about Bobby before I switch to the next image. She does bring up a good point that she loses an hour every time she looks at Facebook, and it's true. It's a time suck, man.
So do I.
Facebook is a time killer, man. You get on Facebook, and you next thing you're clicking on one person's picture, you go into another person's picture. Next thing you're starting to read, all the person's likes and dislikes, and you're reading all their previous posts, and then you're going to one of their friends' pages, and you're like, what are they doing? And then, you're just going through all these people, and the next thing you know, like the clock has already gone past an hour. Like when I wake up in the morning, my first thing is I turn on the computer, check my emails, I check the news sites, find out what the latest is in the news, and then I go to Facebook because I want to see if anybody's posted anything at my page or if there's somebody else on one of my other people that I follow that has posted something interesting. And some people see me posting at 6 a.m., 5:30 in the morning, But that's when I'm up,
That's when you get up. That's not by choice. That's your job.
Yep. But you can see pictures. It's really nice to see people's pictures on Facebook and stuff like that. So it's a good overall, thing to have Facebook. I think more than not having it.
I mean, and if somebody, really gets to know one of us, or has something relevant to hurricanes or just, relevant things in general, we'll follow you because, the more real that you just said it about me yourself. The more information you have, the better, and the more rounded you are, the more well-rounded you are. I think the better and more educated person you are, and that makes someone, I think, you're more informed, and the more informed you are in today's society, the better off you are, obviously. The days of just being able to crawl into a hole and do whatever you want without anybody knowing are over.
Right. Now, on to my number 3 things I hate. I hate that the notifications never work. Now, I don't know, Bill, do you have notifications set up from Facebook, like to notify you via email or text message or something like that to let you know when somebody's responded to something or stuff like that?
Yes, I've had to shut mine off because it's too much. I get too many notifications. It's like, shut up, phone.
Now, see, I'm having a problem with that because you notice the arrow pointing this image I have up there, the email notifications. For whatever reason, I have everything come through to jim@hurricanecity.com. Now, Twitter is not sending any more emails to jim@hurricanecity.com. I've been in touch with GoDaddy about this. I've been in touch with Twitter about it. One blames the other blames the other. Nobody seems to know what the problem is.
All right, somebody's not doing their job somewhere. Go on.
Yeah, and the same thing is happening with Facebook now, too, where I'm not getting notifications from people that are directly responding to me. And when you click on email notifications, I have everything set to yes. Alert me about this, alert me about that, alert me, and I'm not getting these emails, and it's driving me nuts.
Let me ask you a stupid question, and maybe this should be private. Have you checked your spam folder and you just make sure that
I've already done all that.
Buried?
That's the first thing I tried. I figured, if it was going to spam, it's not, and I have no spam settings through any of my emails set up to go to a spam folder. Nothing is set up that way, and I was getting them. This is the thing that's driving me nuts, especially with Twitter. I was getting these emails daily. In fact, it was getting to the point where it was, like you just said, it was getting annoying. There were too many messages, but I didn't change any of my settings. And then all of a sudden, one day, it just stopped. And I'm not getting my emails anymore.
Through your phone. It's not even coming through to your phone, because mine will come directly to my phone.
I don't have my email on the phone.
You shouldn't have to do that. As long as you have the Facebook app open and running in the background, your notifications should be displaying in like a push notification.
Yeah,
you know what those are, like you get from CNN and things like that, Fox News, whatever.
Yeah, I do it differently.
That's how they should display.
I do it differently, though. I don't use my phone to check email. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it, so I check my emails when I get home. And I have email turned off on my phone, so when I come home and I turn on all my emails on the computer, I should be able to get all those notifications on my PC. And they're not coming through.
Understood.
So, that's driving me nuts. I just want to know if you were having any issues with that.
Give me a second. I have to get a drink. Ugh.
Yeah. All right, so that was my number 3 hate thing, is the notifications not working properly. I'll go ahead with my number 3 like.
All right. Go ahead.
While you're getting your drink of water there. The best thing about Facebook, in my opinion, is there's no cap on the amount of fonts and the amount of information you can put on Facebook. Unlike Twitter, where there's a 140 character count stop, you go over that.
Shut up!
I hate Twitter. I despise Twitter for that reason. I brought it up everywhere, and it's just like, it doesn't matter. Everybody just go, oh, that's just the way it is. Bullshit. It doesn't need to be that way. But Facebook, you can post a whole paragraph, a whole story if you want to. You can post pictures. There's no cap on how much information you can share on Facebook. That's the beauty. That's the good thing about Facebook.
I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Sorry to cut you off, Jim. Again, sorry. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Those warnings that you see from my friends, I'm just copying and pasting from one of my apps. I'm just glancing at it. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning. I don't even read the full warning yet before posting it. As long as because I have it set to zip code, I know it's relevant for that specific area, so I know to post it. I'll post it, and then I'll go back and read it in its full version to get it out as quickly as possible.
Right.
And there's no limit to that. And I can just post that. That's why you see that big text and all of that, because that's exactly how the National Weather Service writes it.
Right.
It's that big font, which I think they need to do away with. I don't like it. I don't think it needs to be that big. The hurricane advisories used to be written like that. They've got, or not the advisories, the discussions. They've gotten away from that a lot. They're more, or at least the advisories have gotten out of that big text format. The discussions are not. I don't think that big text is needed. I think it's got it. Make it legible. Make it normal. And I'm not talking about content. There's no reason for that to be almost like a typewriter font. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't really think about that kind of stuff, to be honest with you. I don't even focus on that.
I'm just bitching to bitch here. Go on.
Well, is that your number 3? What's your number 3 like about Facebook?
Just the overall. I think maybe I've already given this the overall ease of the way that you can connect with people. Can move all across the country, and you can talk to them with ease, almost like a live instant message chat. You can talk to them via the phone, via the computer. It's available on all platforms, whether they're on their computer, phone,
right.
iPad. It's universal. It's the perfect communication tool, which makes it more relevant for what you and I do with Hurricane City, because it's going to light up like a Christmas tree the next time there's a storm. It always does. It's a Christmas tree for what we do. It's a treasure trove.
Right. Agreed. All right, we're starting to run short on time here. On my number 4 hate about Facebook is people that rarely say anything, or they talk too much. Like it's kind of a half the people. There are people out there, like, you go to their page and you're like, I'm going to find out what this person's about, and there's like nothing in the column of information. There's no pictures. There's no what's your political beliefs, what's your religious belief, what movies do you like, what books do you like. There's like nothing there. Like they're just a blank slate. And these are people, I know why these people do this, because they're like that guy at Cane Talk. That's none of their business, and I don't like people knowing what I like and dislike and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, you know what? They're already going to find that out based on you. For example, when you go to Google to search for something, they already know everything about you. There's a news flash. When you go into Google and you type in basketballs, okay? Every time you go to a website, there's going to be basketball ads bombarding your face. Okay, so they already know about you. They know what you like and what you dislike. So all these people that are worried about posting it on Facebook, they already know about you. They already know what you like and dislike.
Or when I'm on Amazon looking at something, and I'll go to Google, the next time I go to Google and I see that exact thing that I just looked at on Amazon.
That's right, because you gave away your soul as soon as you typed in that search bar. They know what you like and what you dislike. It's going to show up when you go to a website and you see the ads. They're going to be targeted to you because they already know that. So forget your privacy. Just tell us what you believe, what you don't believe. Come out, grow a pair. If you disagree with, like, the gay rights thing or whatever, come out and say it. Let me know what you think about stuff. I like to know what people think. I like to get inside their brain, find out how they tick, what makes them go, what do they believe in, what do they disagree with. Then you got the people that are like posting every freaking thing, man. It's like all day long, 15, 20 messages. Now this is what I think about that. That's what I think about this. This is what I think about that. It's ad nauseum, like it's too much to keep track of. It's like a rolling feed that you can't possibly keep up with a person. So that's my number 4 pet peeve: people that don't say anything and people that say too much. Yours?
Ditto that. We match on that one.
Oh, come on! That's all you got for me?
That's all I got for you. That because it's almost like and we see this in the weather business. I'm not going to name names tonight unless you want me to. That will post, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I was here 15 years ago. I'm doing this today.
Yeah.
Tell me, in very rare instances, something you did 20 years ago might relate to a certain storm, but tell me the fact you were in this same spot 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
How is that relevant?
I can't stand that, dude. You hit that out of the park, man. I can't stand people that 20 years ago today I was standing in the eye of hurricane. You know what? Just talk about what you've done recently. I don't care what you did 20 years ago. I'm tired of anniversaries and people reliving something. Just move on, like we already know about Hurricane Andrew in 1992. We don't need to go hear what you were doing in 1992 during Hurricane Andrew. Unless you got some epic footage or something, or your house collapsed on top of you or something, I can understand that. But if you happen to be living, 50 miles away and nothing happened to you, it's a non-story.
Mike Vice wanting to show that video of that gas station every year on Charlie, he has every right to show that.
Yeah, that's epic video. That's understandable. But then, speaking of Mike Dice, on this on a flip side, and of course he works for National Geographic, so he's got to push out all his crap all the time. But that guy, man, it's constantly, here I am in Bora Bora, here I am in Africa, here I am in the Northern Lights, here I am in Alaska, here I am in enough, man. It's bad enough my ponderous, boring-ass life is to sit there. But I got to listen to this guy traveling all over the globe, and shooting selfies all over the place. Man, enough.
Places I want to go that I'll never get to. Things like that, yeah.
Oh, my God. The thing I like about Facebook, number 4, the ability to find people that from your past, like the ability to search for people that you don't know what happened to them. That's kind of a neat feature about Facebook.
On the flip side, the bad feature is having to block people that constantly want to come back when you thought you've gotten rid of them, and they come back under another profile, and you know it's the same person, and you get tired of it. Leave me alone.
Right.
Leave me alone. I blocked you for a reason. I haven't talked to you in 3 years. There's a reason for that.
That's a good point, yeah.
We'll get real here. Get over it.
Bobby's asking if I go to watch the news before the National Hurricane Center. Yes. And the only time I pay attention to the National Hurricane Center is when there's a named storm out there and it's on the move and I want to get the latest advisory. No offense to the National Hurricane Center. Like, the only time I use the National Hurricane Center is if I want to do some research or I need the latest advisory on the current storm. Like, outside of that, I have no reason to go to the National Hurricane Center. Their graphics are antiquated. I'm
going to go one step further. The graphics suck.
The graphics are...
They suck.
Why aren't they using GIS maps? They did that with the storm surge maps this year, which I really appreciate. They're talking more about the surge potential for specific areas based on the current storm. Love it. Absolutely love that. Which, by the way, they're pretty clever, Bill, because they found a way, because I was embedding those maps at Hurricane City, and now they found a way to make them bust out of your website and go right to their site. So Chris and I are kind of trying to combat that at the moment with the pop-outs. But the National Hurricane Center, they're trying to keep everything in-house, and they're doing their damnedest to make sure nobody can embed their products. But those old
If
maps...
there's a way, Mr. Hollis will find it.
Huh?
If there's a way, Mr. Hollis will find it.
Yeah, he's amazing. Chris Hollis,
Chris,
unbelievable.
thank you for what you do for Hurricane City, man.
Yeah.
It needs to be said again. You're great.
He can. If I can't figure it out, I've got like a backup, and he goes in there and figures it out. But we're still working on the pop-outs because NHC has really caused a problem there. But they have those old graphics with the green landmass and the aqua ocean areas, and they're just. Can we just move on from those old maps, man? I love NHC. The discussions are good. But they don't do the stuff like Hurricane City does. Show the best performing models. Show the most likely area to be hit by a hurricane. They don't use many GIS maps. Hurricane City's all GIS map based. So I think the NHC has a lot of growing up to do. So I don't really use the site that much. But to answer Bobby's question, CNN is my number one news source. I go there in the morning, check the latest stuff at CNN. I also check out Fox News only because I like to see what all the crazy nuts in the message forums are saying about a particular news story. But look, I have plenty of friends that are conservative, and I get along with them fine. We disagree on political issues, and I will combat them on Facebook. I'll bring it. Like I'll come up with some. Well, this happened 5 years ago. How can you say it didn't happen or something? But I kind of appreciate that because other people will just bail on you. Like they'll give their opinion and they won't debate you at all. So that's the good thing about Facebook. You get a chance to debate people on stuff.
Here's another. And maybe you touched on this earlier. We've kind of run long now. Facebook, if you do it the right way, writing has a way of exposing people's views for what they really are. If you're a good writer and you pose your questions the right way, you can find out a lot about a person by the way they respond to a particular question. And it's so fascinating.
True. Although that can sometimes be taken out of context. Context is the wrong word, but I sometimes just abbreviate things and get right to the point. It sounds a little bit curt and a little bit in your face. But I'm just not the kind of person that likes to write a whole paragraph to describe something that can take a whole sentence instead of a paragraph.
I mean, I like to be. It's for a different reason, mainly because of the voice dictation. I like to be as short as I can, because the longer I go, the more mistakes the voice dictation will make, which means the more I have to correct and screw with, which I don't want to do in a format like that, because I want to say what I need to say and get out, or give the person a chance to respond, so we can continue to go back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, and well, of course, spelling and punctuation and all that stuff. That's another reason I don't like to go on and on, because there's just too much room for error. Which is why I really didn't want to start a blog, but I figured we got to get in the search engines when these hurricanes are hitting, because they're knocking Hurricane City out. Incidentally, all the other privately held websites out there all get knocked out of the search engines when there's a major hurricane out there, because the AP, Associated Press, NBC, ABC, CBS, the Drudge Report, Huffington Puffington Post, as Rush likes to call it, all those websites are always up there in the first or second page of Google when you type in Tropical Storm Bill. Hurricane City, nowhere to be found. Now, in 2 months from now, you type in Tropical Storm Bill, Hurricane City will be up there on the first page. But when it's a breaking news story, boom, gone. So that was the reason for the blog, and I'm going to have to keep doing it to see if Hurricane City can break in on when you type in Tropical Storm Bill or whatever storm.
And like you and I were talking about, it's not about necessarily being on page 1, although we would like it. Page 2 and 3 are fine.
Right.
You just don't want to be on page 20 or 50.
Yeah,
because then you're buried.
Most people don't go any more than 5 pages into Google to find information. They just don't. So
no, I don't. I mean, because you find what you need in the first 3, 4, 5 pages. It doesn't exist if you have to go to page 6 and 7, or you don't know what the hell you're looking for if you have to go that long, because you mistyped something, or you haven't been specific enough with your search topic to find what you want.
Right. And that's why the number one search is going to be the name of the storm followed by where is it going or whatever. And if you don't have a page about that storm, you're dead in the water.
Yep.
Anyway, Bill, that's about it for the show on Facebook tonight. I'm hoping people got something out of this tonight. I mean, this wasn't one of our weather shows. It's not real in-depth kind of stuff. It's just our opinions we like. Bill and I talk like this all the time. We talk about sports, politics, you name it. We talk like this all the time off camera. And so it's kind of nice to do a show like this where we're kind of talking like we normally do, but we're on camera. And just to give people something to watch, something to talk about. And when the next storm is out there, heading toward land, if it's a hurricane, we'll do a show. We'll do the Hurricane Watch Show, and we'll do the Hurricane Warning shows. And we're going to do some pre-game shows this year if we get the opportunity.
If it remains dead like this a couple of months from now, Jim and I will be back. We'll find another subject that we're interested in, and we'll take another 45 to 90 minutes, and we'll do this again. But we're not going to hold ourselves to a specific date anymore.
No.
To a specific date anymore. If we feel like doing it, we'll do it. If not, that's it.
I contacted Bill 2 days ago. I said, you want to do a show on Facebook? Let's go. Let's do it. And the next show, I already have in mind what I want to talk about, and that's the difference between professional and amateur. Because you could go a whole bunch of directions on that with on TV meteorologists, newspaper people, storm chasers, hurricane trackers like myself. Are we pros or are we amateurs? Where do you draw the line on that? And I think I want to do a whole show on that because it's fascinating.
I'm gonna have to research a little bit on that, I'm not that I'm knowledgeable now, but I'm gonna have to do some brush up and research on that before our next show on that one.
Yeah, because a lot of people out there calling themselves professional storm chaser. What is a professional storm chaser? Is there a school you go to for this? Or do you have to go to college to become a storm chaser? What constitutes a professional? And when you look up professional in the dictionary, it's basically knowing a lot about your trade or as in your profession. So then that begs the question, are you making a living as a storm chaser? And we all know the answer to that. It's a bunch of BS. There's probably very few guys that are making a living at it. So how many of these guys can come out and say, I'm a professional storm chaser, or I'm a professional fill in the blank? That's
all right, Jim.
Really interesting subject.
Jim. 5-minute preview. 5-minute preview of the next show. You recently, when was this? About 2 years ago. It's actually the subject of your first blog. That conversation you had with Max Mayfield was very, very enlightening. Do they not? I just wonder if you don't. There's something to be said for almost 30 years of 30 years of tracking, of experience of tracking. Excuse the fact that you don't have a degree behind your name.
Right.
But you've been doing this for almost 30 years.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so why shouldn't I be called a professional? And when there's a lot of TV meteorologists that are not, they're not even meteorologists. They're just
oh my God, they're idiots.
They're weather presenters. Okay, they're not meteorologists. They're weather presenters, and they don't have a degree in meteorology. And yet, the people on their street where they live call them professional weather people. What makes that person a professional weather person? Because they can read the weather back to you? Or would you call somebody a professional that goes and researches it, knows a lot about it, versus somebody that's just reading it or hypothesizing about something based on a model? Like, I don't do that. I mean, my stuff goes further than that.
But that's the next show. Jim, it's been fun. Have a great evening. And ladies and gentlemen, Jim and I hope you got something out of this. Please, when you watch this archive, email us, Facebook us, let us know what you think, what you like, almost what the subject of this show was about. Tell us what you like, what you didn't like. We're big boys. We can take it.
Yeah, drop us an email or just tweet about it or something. Anything's appreciated. We'll send, and again, I want to thank the people again that support Hurricane City. A lot of people are re-upping their subscriptions and donating, even if they don't have a subscription. There's a few people that have donated $50. Really appreciate that. That's huge. It helps with all the operating expenses at Hurricane City. I can't emphasize this enough. When you donate to Hurricane City, every dime goes into Hurricane City. There's no electric bills being paid with it. There's no car insurance bills, car payments.
We're not paying our cable bill with it.
Yeah, I'm not paying the cable bill with it. It's all going into either machinery, software downloads, server expenses. I already mentioned software downloads.
Can I give an example? A few years ago, you helped me buy a new computer that I needed for streaming.
Right.
That came out of the money for HC, some of it.
Right. Yeah, because he's got
These computers aren't cheap.
Bill has to produce my stream when I'm on the road, so he's restreaming my video cam from the road, plus the remote cam that we're going to be using this year, if we get a chance. And that's all done through Bill's computer network at his place, and it all ties in. But every dime goes into some kind of, like the camera that you're watching this through tonight. That was a Hurricane City expense. The mixing board, everything.
Hurricane City expense.
Travel expenses, all these things. We're not using it for anything other than Hurricane City, so it's much appreciated. Believe me, every dime goes into Hurricane City. All right, Bill. Let's wrap it up. It's 9:45.